Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Joel Clark of Plymouth Christian Boys Basketball, as of course he is the head coach. Joel, how are you?
Good. How are you, Casey? Thanks for having me on, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, no problem. Good to meet you as well. So, yeah, just how is the season going? I know this. I know you've been on this staff for a while, but this is your first year as head coach.
Mhm.
Well, what has it been like? Just you know, being the head coach and all that.
Well, first of all, it's been a privilege to coach at PCA, to backfill Matt Wendell. His position there was humbling. It was daunting to think about filling those shoes um, that he filled so well for so many years. But it's been really great. I mean, we have a great group of kids, really coachable, really want to work hard, want to get better, have a growth mindset. And so that's all that you can ask for as a coach. In terms of how the season's gone, of course, there have been some growing pains this year. I'm learning as a first year head coach. I'm not going to be the coach that I know I could be years from now if I continue to do this. But we also have players, we're implementing a new system. We've got players stepping into new roles. We lost a lot from last year. So players stepping into new roles they've never held before. And there's going to be some learning and growth along the way in that too. Um, so it's been certainly an up and down year in a lot of ways, but I would say our growth trajectory has been all that I could ask for in terms of how we're growing individually and collectively as a team.
Yeah. Okay, so I know you lost a lot of guys, from last year, and obviously, the two guys that really, including the two biggest scorers from last year. Uh,
Mhm.
what was, and then just really kind of go through some of the guys that are really kind of, making an impact on this team.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of our scoring, I knew we were going to be a tough defensive team this year. I mean, I would say this year, even more so than last year, like we are really tough defensively. We've got a lot of leaders on the defensive end: Evan Sutherland, Ray Weber, Aiden Sexton, Dylan Beasley, even Michael Levine, Caveman Whip off the bench. Like just a lot of guys that want to come in and really want to bring a lot of toughness defensively, especially on the perimeter. Um, but scoring, I mean, I was even talking to my varsity assistant this year prior to the season starting. What was our biggest concern with the team? It really was scoring not because we were concerned that our guys weren't capable, but because we just lost so much leadership on the offensive end last year. You're referring to Jordan Scott, Nate
Yeah.
Pearson, even Cam Weller, right? A lot of guys that could really score and score at a high clip, and they had opportunities to do that and lead in that way. And we just had guys this year that are capable shooters, they're capable scorers. They're just stepping into these roles for the first time, and it's there's some growth right involved in doing that. But again, some of the same guys that I mentioned on the offensive end, Ray Weber, Dylan Beasley, Aiden Sexton, like really doing a great job of leading us offensively as well. And we don't need to score many points to win, honestly, because of how tough we are defensively. But those are the guys that are really leading in that way too.
Yeah. So, overall, like, record wise, what are some have been, the best games that you've had so far and all that? Just kind of take me through how this, you know, overall the season is going and some of the highlights of it so far.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we played a really tough non-conference schedule. So coming out of non-conference, we were 3-7, I think. I would say one of the better games we played, end to end was against North Point Christian. We went over to Cornerstone right before Christmas.
Yeah.
I played against North Point, even though it ended in a heartbreaking loss. Like our mental toughness was on display as we faced adversity, clawed back in that game, really locked down defensively, especially in the second half against a really, really good team. So that was certainly a highlight, even though it ended in a loss. And then I would say, that's just a microcosm of, kind of how we've continued to build. And I would say last Friday against Intercity was a result. You could see our growth, right? Again, in a game like that where we really faced a lot of adversity. We were down 11 in the third quarter, really had to dig in defensively. I think we gave up maybe 2 points in the last, basically 2 points in the last quarter, quarter and a half, which was unbelievable in the way that we were able to claw back and ended up winning that game. Despite the disappointing loss, first conference loss against Southfield, we're back to 1-1, back to 500 in conference play, and beat Intercity at Intercity in a game that we really felt like we had to have, but also to prove to ourselves that, hey, we are still competing for a conference championship this year, even though we lost a lot from last year. And Friday certainly proved that. So
Yeah. So just for people that might not be aware, talk about the conference that you're in and all that stuff.
yeah, so we're in the MEAC conference. It's split between the upper division and lower division. My entire time coaching, both the last couple of years as a varsity assistant and then now as the head coach, I've only ever known us to be in the upper division. So some of the teams I mentioned, Intercity as one of the top teams in the upper division this year. Lutheran Northwest also, at least based on scores and things that I've heard and seen from them, they seem to be really competitive. Are going to be really competitive this year in terms of competing for the conference championship. And then Southfield's always tough. Oakland Christian is always tough. So a lot of really Clarenceville, a lot of really good teams in our conference this year that we have to compete against. So
Yeah. And then finally, this, these, really these next few games, just, you just kind of preview what you got coming up. Of course, you're home against Auburn Hills, Oakland Christian, and then, on the road, and then you're going to be at home for a little bit.
yeah, well, that was another tough part of our conference slate. We opened with 3 away games. One of them ended up being canceled because of the weather at Clarenceville. But yeah, when we think about, at Southfield, at Clarenceville, at Intercity, that's a tough way to start conference play. But we're thankful to have more home games now coming up. We do play really well at home, shoot really well at home. So we're excited for the opportunity to play more at home. Our fans are awesome. Our atmosphere is amazing at home. So really excited to go on this home stretch here that we have in conference play. But yeah, this week specifically, 2 really big games, home against Oakland, and then we have to go away again on Friday at Lutheran Northwest. Again, if we want to win a conference championship, and that's something that's on our list of goals this year, these 2 games we have to have this week, and we're locked in, and we want to build off of the big win on Friday. We don't want any letdown, and so we're locked in on using Friday's win at Intercity as really a springboard for us for the rest of conference play.
All right. Well, Joel, thanks so much for the time as always. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Casey, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.